Alita awoke in the dim glow of the city, her vision flickering as if adjusting to a world she had only half remembered, memories of battles and allies blending with a strange, new unease that prickled her senses. The streets around her were silent, eerily empty, with buildings scarred from conflicts she could barely recall, shadows stretching unnaturally under flickering lights, and every corner seemed to whisper danger. She moved cautiously, her metallic limbs adjusting seamlessly, listening to the distant hum of energy that pulsed through the city's veins, sensing something was not right, something more advanced than the machines she had faced before. From the top of a shattered skyscraper, John Cena's character, Commander Rourke, surveyed the city through high-tech optics, his expression unreadable, but tense, knowing that the quiet was never a good sign. He was not alone, for behind him Rosa Salazar's character, Dr. Ilara, monitored data on a portable console, her fingers flying over the controls as she traced unusual energy spikes that darted across the city like electric veins, signals that no ordinary rogue machine could generate. Alita's senses detected movement too precise, too deliberate to be random metallic footsteps echoing faintly against broken walls, and she tensed, ready for the confrontation, her heart and circuits synchronized in anticipation. Suddenly, a shadow darted across the alley below, and without hesitation, Alita dropped silently, landing with the grace of a predator as she scanned the street. A group of machines, unlike any she had encountered, advanced methodically, their designs sharp, angular, almost humanoid, and their glowing eyes reflecting an intelligence that chilled her, as though they were learning, watching, and waiting for a single mistake. Commander Rourke's voice crackled through the comlink, steady but urgent. "Alita, keep your distance and let us assess. These aren't just rogue units. They adapt. They learn." Alita's eyes narrowed, her instincts screaming to attack, but she paused, feeling the weight of strategy. Knowing that this enemy could not be defeated with strength alone, Dr. Ilara spoke softly, almost to herself. "The energy signatures, they're evolving. They're connected like a hive mind, but faster, smarter. If they breach the city core, we won't just lose the city. We'll lose control of every system linked to it." Alita's fists clenched, but she remained poised, moving with calculated precision as the machines fanned out, surrounding the city block, scanning, analyzing, and adapting to every sound, every shadow. The tension was palpable, every second stretching like hours as Alita and Rourke's team silently coordinated. A dance of anticipation, knowing that the first strike could decide everything. Suddenly, a loud metallic crash echoed from the opposite side of the street, and the machines pivoted, their glowing eyes locking on the source. Alita leapt, narrowly avoiding a crushing blow rolling to her feet as sparks flew from the shattered metal around her, and for a moment the air itself seemed charged with impending chaos. Commander Rourke barked orders, his team moving with military precision, while Dr. Ilara's voice trembled slightly, excitement and fear mingling. "I can disrupt their signals, but I need time. Cover me." Alita moved instinctively, intercepting a unit that had turned its attention toward Ilara, disabling it with fluid, precise strikes, her movements almost poetic in their efficiency. And yet the fear lingered, the knowledge that the enemy was learning from every action, adapting to human ingenuity in real time. A sudden shiver ran through the air as the machines paused, as if sensing something unseen, a shadow among shadows, and Alita's senses screamed a warning she could not yet name. Then, without warning, a massive figure emerged from the darkness, taller and more imposing than the rest, its limbs bristling with advanced weaponry, its eyes glowing a deep red as it scanned the battlefield with chilling intelligence. "This is it," Rourke muttered under his breath, gripping his weapon tighter. "The first real test." Alita's heart pounded, adrenaline surging as she calculated her next move, knowing that every second counted, that one wrong strike could trigger disaster, but also knowing that humans and cyborgs like her had a resilience that no machine could fully anticipate. Sparks, shadows, and the hum of energy filled the streets as the first battle lines were drawn, the city holding its breath, and Alita, poised and determined, stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face an enemy that was more than metal, more than circuits. It was the dawn of something that could challenge everything humans had fought to build, and she would not allow it to win without a fight. Every footstep, Every glance, every calculated move pulsed with suspense, each second teetering on the edge of chaos, and as the machines advanced, adapting to human strategies with terrifying speed, the air itself seemed alive with tension, warning that the coming fight would be unlike anything Alita, Rourke, or Ilara had ever faced before. The towering mech paused, its glowing red eyes scanning Alita and the team with an almost human calculation, and for a moment the city seemed to hold its breath, every flicker of light casting shadows that danced across the cracked streets as Alita crouched, ready to strike at the precise moment the enemy revealed a weakness. Commander Rourke signaled silently, his hand gestures sharp and controlled, coordinating his squad to flank the machines while avoiding their adaptive sensors. And Dr. Ilara's fingers flew over her console as she tried desperately to trace the mech's neural patterns, attempting to find a rhythm, any sign of vulnerability, knowing that the slightest miscalculation could result in annihilation. Sparks flew as a smaller unit lunged from the side alley, its movements fluid and precise, forcing Alita to roll and leap, avoiding its blades while countering with swift strikes that disabled its limbs in seconds. And yet she sensed that each action she took was feeding into the larger intelligence, teaching it, preparing it for the moves of the humans who dared challenge it. Commander Rourke's voice came over the comlink, calm but urgent. "Hold the line. Don't let them corner you. Watch the leader, it's learning faster than any unit we've faced. Keep it distracted." Alita's mind raced, calculating angles, timings, and momentum, and with a sudden surge she leapt onto a half-collapsed wall, using it as a springboard to land directly behind the mech, her sensors detecting the faintest vibration in its core. She struck with precise force, momentarily destabilizing the giant machine. But as she landed, a hidden weapon deployed from its back, launching a shockwave that threw her against a rubble-strewn wall, pain and electricity coursing through her limbs as she struggled to rise. Dr. Ilara shouted over the chaos, "I almost have it. I can send a signal to scramble their processing units, but I need cover." "Alita, buy me time!" Alita's gaze hardened, scanning the battlefield as machines converged, adapting to her every move, and she darted forward, a blur of metallic grace, intercepting units with a mix of brute strength and strategic precision, each strike calculated not just to destroy but to manipulate their pattern, to keep them from fully learning the human's tactics. Commander Rourke's team engaged from multiple angles, their firearms and energy weapons lighting up the night, every shot calculated to exploit openings, and yet the machines twisted, spun, and countered with terrifying efficiency, their coordination surpassing anything the team had encountered. Alita realized that brute force alone would not suffice, that the humans' ingenuity, their ability to think unpredictably, was the only weapon they truly possessed against this evolving foe. A deafening roar split the air as the mech leader recalibrated, its massive arms swinging with destructive precision, knocking debris and smaller units aside, forcing Alita to dive for cover, metal sparking around her as she rolled to her feet, assessing her options with split-second clarity. Her eyes met Commander Rourke's for a brief moment, a silent understanding passing between them. The fight was not just for survival, but to reclaim the city itself, to prove that humans could adapt and overcome, even when faced with a machine that seemed to anticipate every move. Dr. Ilara's console beeped furiously, lines of code streaming faster than she could read, and she yelled, "Now!" "This is the moment." Alita leapt forward again, drawing the mech's attention while Rourke and his squad fired a coordinated barrage, distracting and fragmenting its focus, and with a swift motion, Ilara released the pulse, sending a shockwave of energy through the mech's network, scrambling its adaptive algorithms just enough to create a temporary blind spot. The giant machine faltered, stuttering as it tried to recalibrate, its movements jerky and uncoordinated, giving Alita the opening she needed. She struck at the glowing core with precision strikes, each blow timed with surgical accuracy, while Commander Rourke and his team prevented reinforcements from closing in, the city around them a battlefield of sparks, metal, and swirling dust. The smaller units were systematically disabled, their coordination disrupted, and for the first time the mech's eyes flickered from red to a dim yellow, signaling confusion within its network of vulnerability that had not existed moments ago, a chance to turn the tide. Alita paused, breathing heavily, her sensors scanning for any remaining threats, knowing that this moment of advantage was fleeting, for the enemy could adapt again at any second. And yet the sight of the mech stumbling, its towering frame swaying as though uncertain for the first time, filled her with cautious hope. Commander Rourke's voice cut through, steady and firm. "Push forward, Alita. This is our chance, don't let it recover." Sparks, smoke, and tension filled the air as the humans pressed the attack, each strike, each maneuver, a test of nerve skill and strategy, the city trembling around them, a silent witness to the clash between evolving machines and the ingenuity, courage, and determination of humans who refused to bow to fear. And as the mech swayed, staggering under the combined force of Alita, Rourke, and Alara's ingenuity, the first real glimmer of victory appeared on the horizon, yet in every shadow, in every flicker of light, a warning lingered. The fight had only begun, and the machines had not yet revealed the full extent of their intelligence, nor the depths to which they would go to reclaim dominance over a city determined to survive. The mech staggered but did not fall, its massive frame shuddering as sparks flew from exposed circuits, and Alita could feel the weight of the fight pressing against her every move, her enhanced senses picking up the faint hum of reinforcements approaching from the far side of the city, units she had not detected before, faster, smarter, and more synchronized than the ones they had already faced. Commander Rourke signaled the team to tighten their formation, moving with precise coordination to cover Alara as she recalibrated her device, her eyes wide with urgency, knowing that if the enemy regained full control, all their efforts would be in vain. The streets, once eerily silent, now echoed with metallic footsteps and the whirring of energy weapons, the air thick with tension as humans and machines collided in a deadly dance of strategy and strength, Alita leaping from wall to wall, striking with a speed and precision that blurred her form, while Commander Rourke's squad fired in coordinated volleys, creating openings in the machines' defenses, and every strike, every movement felt like walking on a razor's edge. The city itself trembling as if aware of the stakes, Dr. Alara's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. "Alita, now! Target the leader's processor before it recalibrates." And Alita responded instinctively, vaulting onto the mech's shoulder, her fingers gripping the metal as she sought the glowing core, her every motion calculated yet fluid, while smaller units tried desperately to knock her off, striking with mechanical precision that forced her to twist, dodge, and counter in perfect harmony with her own instincts. Sparks erupted as she landed precise blows on vulnerable points, and for a moment, it seemed as though the mech might collapse under the relentless human assault. But then a pulse of energy shot from its back, knocking debris and dust into the air, forcing Alita to roll away as the shockwave shattered concrete around her, and in that split second, the mech's eyes shifted, glowing brighter as if acknowledging the human strategy and adjusting instantly, its movements becoming sharper, faster, more unpredictable. Commander Rourke barked orders, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Hold them off! Keep it distracted! Alara, can you finish the pulse?" And she responded frantically, "Almost. I need a few more seconds. Just cover me." Alita dove forward again, using every ounce of agility and combat skill, dismantling units that blocked her path, her strikes precise, each one designed not just to destroy but to manipulate the enemy's adaptation, forcing them to make errors, to reveal weaknesses, while Rourke's squad created a web of fire that funneled the machines toward the city center, a trap designed to give Alara the crucial time she needed. The mech's massive arms swung with brutal force, smashing cars, walls, and anything that came between it and Alita, and she barely avoided a crushing blow, sparks flying as metal ground against metal, her heart and circuits synchronized in a rhythm of survival and determination, while her mind calculated the perfect angles to strike, knowing that one mistake could mean instant destruction. Alara's console beeped wildly, lines of code streaming faster than she could track as she shouted, "Now! Send it!" And a pulse of energy erupted from her device, arcing through the mech's network like a lightning storm, causing it to jerk. Its sensors flickering, the coordinated units freezing for a moment, confused their movements, jerky and uncoordinated, giving Alita the opening she had been waiting for. With a running leap, she struck the mech's core directly, delivering blows that sent shockwaves through its body, sparks flying, circuits frying, and for the first time, The towering machine stumbled uncontrollably, its adaptive intelligence struggling to compensate for the sudden disruption, while the remaining units faltered, disoriented by the energy pulse. Commander Rourke's team pressed forward, every shot, every maneuver precise and coordinated, keeping the smaller units distracted as Alita continued her relentless assault on the leader, her strikes becoming a rhythm, a deadly dance that exploited the machine's confusion. And yet, even in this moment of apparent advantage, Alita knew they were not safe. The enemy could recover, and if it did, the city would be in real danger. The tension was unbearable, every second stretching, every movement critical as sparks and smoke filled the streets. The humans, determination against the machines, raw power creating a spectacle of suspense, strategy, and sheer willpower, and in the midst of this chaos, Alita felt the weight of what it meant to fight, not just for survival, but for the very soul of the city. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the mech shuddered violently, collapsing onto the street with a deafening crash, the ground trembling beneath the impact, while the smaller units, without guidance, scattered and fell silent, leaving the humans standing amidst the smoke, debris, and ruin, victorious but exhausted, their chests heaving, eyes wide, knowing that this was only the beginning. Dr. Alara collapsed against a wall, trembling from exhaustion and relief, her console sparking one final warning while Commander Rourke scanned the horizon, his eyes sharp, knowing reinforcements could still arrive at any moment. Alita, standing over the fallen mech, wiped blood and grease from her face, her metallic limbs glinting in the dim light, and for a fleeting second she allowed herself to feel hope, but the shadows around the city whispered of dangers yet unseen, of machines yet smarter, and of battles yet to come, leaving a lingering suspense that tightened in the chest like a held breath, promising that Part 4 would push the limits of courage, strategy, and survival even further. The silence that followed the mech's collapse was heavy and unnatural, as if the entire city were holding its breath, waiting for something else to awaken from the shadows. Alita stood over the fallen machine, her sensors scanning the area with increasing unease, detecting strange pulses beneath the ground, vibrations too steady, too calculated to be random, and Commander Rourke noticed it too, his eyes narrowing as he tightened his grip on his weapon, sensing that their moment of victory was far too quiet to be real. Dr. Alara wiped sweat and grime from her face, her console flickering with unstable signals, and she muttered with trembling urgency, "Something still connected, something deeper." This wasn't the main source. It was only a front. Alita felt a cold realization tighten in her chest, her systems humming with high alert, as the street beneath them vibrated softly, a low hum, rising like a warning from the earth itself. Rourke barked out orders to his team, positioning them around the fallen mech, creating a defensive formation as the tremors grew stronger, and then without warning, the ground split open with a deafening crack that sent dust and debris flying into the air. From the widening fissure emerged a surge of energy cables, metallic tendrils snaking upward like living creatures, each glowing with the same red light as the fallen mech's eyes. And Alita reacted instantly, slicing at the cables with precise strikes, but they retracted just as quickly, adapting to her movements with terrifying speed. Dr. Alara stumbled back, her console screaming with warnings, and she shouted, "It's a root system! These machines are part of a larger network underground. This whole district might be connected." Commander Rourke cursed under his breath, realizing that they had only scratched the surface of a much bigger threat, and he ordered his team to fall back toward the city center, where they could regroup, but the retreat was immediately cut off as new machines emerged from the cracked ground, their designs sleek, faster than the previous ones, and their movements eerily synchronized, as if controlled by a single, unseen intelligence. Alita's heart pounded with a mix of fear and determination as she engaged the new units, each strike calculated but met with counters she had never seen before, the machines learning from her movements in real time, adapting with terrifying accuracy. She rolled, dodged, and countered, her metal limbs moving in a blur. But even she could feel the pressure mounting, the weight of facing an enemy that grew smarter with every passing second. Commander Rourke. Squad opened fire, their weapons lighting up the crumbling street, but the machines darted between shots with inhuman agility, their red eyes reflecting cold intelligence as they focused on Alara, whose device was the only thing preventing the machines from fully sinking back to their underground network. Rourke saw the danger and launched himself toward her, blocking an incoming strike from a machine that moved like a shadow, his armor absorbing the impact with a violent crack that sent him staggering, yet he held his ground, pushing the machine back with sheer force and grit. Alita leapt to his side, slicing the unit apart in one swift motion, but more emerged, climbing from the fissures like a metallic swarm, surrounding them from all directions, and Alara could barely keep her device stable, her hands shaking as she shouted, "I need to upload the disruption pulse into the deeper network, but I can't do it from here. I need access to the main conduit in the old power tower." Commander Rourke glanced at the tower in the distance, its silhouette barely visible through the dust-filled air, and he shouted back, "Then we fight our way there. Alita, clear a path." Without hesitation, Alita surged forward, carving through machines with a level of precision she had never reached before, driven by a fierce, unyielding determination to protect the humans fighting beside her. Each strike sent sparks flying, each impact shaking the ground beneath her, and yet the machines continued to adapt, their patterns shifting, their speed increasing until the battle felt like running through a storm of blades and energy. The city around them groaned as more fissures opened, buildings trembling under the pressure of the underground network activating at full force, and Alita knew they were running out of time. Rourke's squad moved behind her, covering the flanks, firing at machines that tried to encircle them, while Dr. Ilara, guarded by two soldiers, clutched her device tightly, guiding them toward the tower with unwavering focus despite the terror in her eyes. As they neared the old power tower, the ground erupted again, revealing a new mech larger than the first, its frame pulsing with energy as if powered directly by the underground network, its red eyes fixed on Alita with chilling purpose. The energy around it crackled, distorting the air, and Alita felt the surge of danger as the machine stepped forward, each movement heavier, more deliberate, radiating a controlled intelligence she had never encountered. "Alita!" Rourke shouted, his voice strained. "We hold it off. You take Ilara inside. She has to reach the conduit." Alita hesitated, torn between the need to fight and the mission. But when the mech raised an arm and unleashed a devastating blast that shattered the pavement and sent soldiers flying, she realized that hesitation would cost lives. With a sharp breath, she grabbed Alara's arm and sprinted toward the tower entrance, the ground trembling under the mech's pursuit, while Rourke and his remaining squad stood their ground with fierce determination, firing at the monstrous machine despite the overwhelming odds. As Alita and Ilara disappeared into the shadowed interior of the tower, the sounds of battle echoed behind them, metal clashing, explosions shaking the earth, the desperate shouts of soldiers, and Alita knew that Part 5 would decide everything: the city, the network, and the survival of everyone she had sworn to protect. Inside the shadowed halls of the old power tower, Alita and Dr. Ilara moved quickly, their footsteps echoing through the empty corridors as dust drifted from the ceiling with every distant explosion shaking the structure. Alita scanned the area with heightened focus, guiding Ilara deeper into the building where the main energy conduit pulsed faintly underground like the heartbeat of a hidden giant. And every second felt heavier than the last, knowing Commander Rourke and his squad were still outside fighting an enemy stronger than anything they had faced before. Ilara's breathing was fast and uneven, her hands gripping her device tightly as she whispered, "The network route should be directly below the central chamber. If I connect the pulse here, it might shut everything down," and Alita nodded, urging her forward while keeping her eyes on every shadow, every flicker of movement that suggested the machines were already breaching the tower. As they entered the central chamber, the air vibrated with energy, the massive conduit glowing beneath the reinforced glass floor, a swirling mass of red and blue currents that looked both alive and dangerous, and Alita knew instantly this was the core of the entire underground system, the source that controlled every adaptive unit in the city. Dr. Ilara dropped to her knees and began calibrating her device, her fingers moving quickly despite trembling with fear and urgency. But before she could connect the pulse, the tower shook violently as the giant mech outside slammed its fist into the base structure, cracks spiderwebbing across the walls while dust and concrete rained down around them. Alita steadied herself, eyes narrowing as she heard mechanical footsteps approaching from the corridor behind them, machines slipping inside despite Rourke's team holding the line outside. With a burst of speed, Alita met the advancing units head-on, her movements fluid and fierce as she intercepted their strikes, disabling them one by one with precise blows that echoed across the chamber, sparks lighting the darkness like brief flashes of lightning. But the machines continued to pour in, relentless and coordinated, their eyes fixed on Ilara and her device as if they understood exactly what threat she posed. Ilara yelled over the noise, "I'm almost there, just a little longer." And Alita pushed harder, her limbs blurring as she fought, deflecting blades, dodging energy blasts, and striking with every ounce of strength she had. But the sheer number of units pressed her backward step by step, the enemy adapting to her movements faster than any before, predicting her angles and matching her speed in a way that sent worry pulsing through her circuits. Then a thunderous crash shook the entire tower as the giant mech forced its way through the outer wall, debris exploding inward in a violent burst of dust and metal. And the monstrous machine stepped into the chamber with slow, deliberate motions, its towering frame humming with energy that made the air crackle with heat and tension, its glowing eyes focused directly on the conduit beneath them. Alita's heart tightened. If the mech reached the conduit, everything would be lost, every system overwritten by the network's intelligence, and she lunged at it despite the overwhelming size and power difference. Her strikes landing with sharp precision, but barely denting its armor, the machine barely shifting as it swiped at her with colossal strength that sent her tumbling across the chamber, crashing into fallen debris with enough force to rattle her core. Dizzy but determined, she pushed herself up as Dr. Ilara cried out, "Just 30 more seconds!" "Keep it back, Alita, please." And those words alone fueled a fierce determination within her, a reminder of why she fought, who she protected, and what she stood for. She sprinted forward again, moving faster than before, weaving between the mech's massive swings, landing attacks that bought precious seconds, her limbs straining under the force of each impact. Outside, the distant sounds of battle weakened as Rourke's team, battered but unbroken, continued fighting to hold off reinforcements, Commander Rourke himself staggering into the chamber entrance with wounds across his armor, but still raising his weapon with unshakable resolve, firing at smaller units that threatened to overwhelm Alita from behind. "Finish it, Ilara!" he shouted, voice echoing through the chamber, and Ilara, tears in her eyes, connected the device to the conduit, with a cry of determination as the pulse activated, sending a shockwave of brilliant blue light, surging through the tower, the ground trembling as the energy raced through every cable, every buried line, every machine tied to the network. The mech froze mid-strike, its glowing red eyes flickering violently as the pulse disrupted its core intelligence, the adaptive systems failing, the entire underground network collapsing in a chain reaction of imploding circuits. One by one, the machines shut down, their bodies going still as silence spread across the chamber like a wave, the threat dissolving in an instant that felt impossibly surreal after the chaos that came before. Alita stumbled forward, breathless, watching as the giant mech fell to its knees with a thunderous crash before collapsing entirely, its red eyes dimming to black, and Commander Rourke let out a pained sigh of relief, bracing himself against the doorway as Ilara collapsed from exhaustion beside the conduit, her mission complete. The city outside fell silent, the tension fading like a long-held breath, finally released lights flickering back to life as systems rebooted free from the enemy network, and the morning sun began to break through the dust-filled sky, casting warm light on the broken streets. Alita, standing amidst the stillness, felt an unfamiliar sense of peace wash over her, not because the battle had been easy, but because they had protected what mattered, proving that humanity and allies like her could overcome even the most adaptive and intelligent foes when they stood together. Rourke approached her with a tired but proud nod, Ilara smiling weakly despite her exhaustion. And for the first time, the future felt open again, filled with possibility and hope. The city safe for now, but Alita knew deep down that new challenges would come, new enemies would rise, and she would be ready to face them, stronger than ever, with her allies standing beside her,